Hey, welcome to my kitchen. These are the last of my pears. So I'm going to make one more pear jam recipe, and this time I'm going to bring you along with me. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to peel and core these pears. It's just a simple peeling and coring. And I'm going to chop them up and put them in my batter bowl. I will be filling it up to 8 cups. Alright. Now I'm just going to core these. And then I am going to, you can see this, there's a little bit left of the core itself, so I'm going to clean that out a little bit. And then just chunk it up a little bit. And I'm going to be doing, like I said, 8 cups worth. All right, I am going to do the rest of these, and I will be right back. Hey, I am back, and I have got a little nodule of fresh garlic, fresh ginger. And this is how I finely dice and mince fresh ginger. Is I literally just take my peeler. I've already peeled it. I've already taken out the outside skin, and I literally just peel it in layers. So it's very, very thin layers I'm getting here. And then I'm going to get a knife and I'm going to mince it really fine, because I don't want any big chunks of garlic in my I said it again, garlic, ginger. I don't want big chunks of ginger in my pear jam. Okay, now that looks pretty good. I'll do some teeny little slices. And now I don't know where I put my knife. There's my knife. Rinse this off here quick. There we go. Now, did I tell you that it took me about 20 minutes to core and chop 8 cups of pears? Now, I'm just going to do a real fine there we go. And now what I'm going to do is, I went one direction, now I'm going to turn it and go the other. And I'm going to do some very, very fine chops. Now this recipe for the ginger pear
Okay, now
jam
I've got it up to a boil.
is a long
this
cook
water
method.
that's
I
that I'm
have
not adding any
decided
water at
that
all.
I am
It's all
not
between
going to
pears.
make jams and jellies with pectin. Because
And so
I
what I'm
never
gonna do
know
is
when I'm going to be able to get
pretty
pectin.
good. I'm going to reduce
And so I thought I would learn how to do the long cook method.
the temperature a little bit.
Now I'm just quickly chopping over
Because I
these.
don't want to
I want
to
some
boil
very
over and I
fine.
want to storage.
Anyway, I never know when I'm going to be able to get pectin. And so I thought, I'm going to learn how to do the long cook method. And basically what that is it just cooks it and cooks it and cooks it until you get to 220 degrees on a candy thermometer. And then pretty much whatever you're making will gel.
About an hour.
I prefer a soft
And as you
jam.
can see, the
I don't
pears
like
are
a
starting
firm
to get
set.
more transparent. They are.
So it's perfect for
They're
me.
losing their.
All right, now we've got a heavy bottom, heavy
They were very
bottom
white and opaque, and now they're
pot.
turning transparent.
Put in my
that
8
means
cups
they're
of
softening, and I'm taking a
pear
masher
that's poured and peeled.
and I am mashing
Now I'm going
away
to put in
as it
my very
boils. About
fine
a few minutes or so, I start
ginger.
mashing some more. You can tell
I
it's
have
starting to thicken
4
up.
cups of sugar. This sugar I took out of storage.
And the
When you
smell
store
is
sugar,
amazing.
it gets
It
hard
smells
lumps.
like fall in
Now this is
here.
not a problem when I'm making jelly. I mean, it's not
Right.
super hard. I make them crumble with it. But when I'm making jelly, it's no big deal if it has little clumps in it. Okay, and now 3 tablespoons of lemon juice. That will help with the acidity. 1, 2, 3. And 1/2 teaspoon of 1/2 teaspoon. Looks like it's pretty much what I have left here. And 1/8 of a teaspoon of clove. Just a fine, small amount of clove. Well, let's see what we got here. Cinnamon, clove, lemon juice. All right, so we've got it. We've got the 8 cups of chopped pears. We've got the 4 cups of sugar, 1/2 teaspoon of cinnamon, 1/8 teaspoon of cloves, and 3 tablespoons of lemon juice. Now, what I'm going to do, and of course my fresh ginger, about a tablespoon of fresh ginger. All right, bring my hot plate over here. And turn that on. Oh. Okay, I'm going to start a little slower, and then I want to the point where everything starts melting and the pears start releasing their liquid, and then I'll turn it up. I don't want to burn or scorch anything, so I want to gradually heat it up just in the very beginning until, like I said, the water is released and the sugar is melted. And then I'll turn it up to a boil, and then I'll I'll put it down in temperature, and I will let it simmer for about an hour and a half. And the flavors will be amazing. Now you say, hour and a half? Why would I let something simmer that long? These are hard pears, and they take quite a while to soften. Now, I don't want them to soften until it's completely smooth, but I want to soften it until there's just a teeny little bit of chunks left. And those chunks, I want them to be really soft. All right, turn that up a little bit. I'm probably at about half right now. All right, I will get this up to a little bit of a boil, and then I'm going to reduce its temperature and let it simmer for about an hour and a half. Just a low simmer, and I'll be right back. Okay, now while we are boiling the jam, I have a 23-quart stainless steel heavy bottom stock pot that I process my jars in. This is called a water bath canning method. And on the bottom of this pan, I have a rack. This rack keeps the jars off the bottom of the pot, lifts them up a little bit, and when you're boiling, it boils around, and all areas of the jar, the top and the bottom and the sides, are boiling. Boiling water is constantly churning around the jar. Now I have some half-pint jars here that I'm going to put my jam in, and I have a quart jar in the middle. And the reason why I have that is that if there's too much space in the pot while you're processing the jam, sometimes it'll tip over. And that's not good, because your jam can get jammed under your lid and prevent it from sealing correctly. So it's good to have a few extra jars or a big jar that'll keep its spacing so they won't tip over. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn this heat on. I'm going to start boiling these jars. What I'm doing is I'm sterilizing these jars. Once the water is to a very full, rapid boil, I will time it for 10 minutes, and we will sterilize these jars. And in my batter bowl, once again, I have my lids and rings. And I am going to heat up some water, and I am going to pour it over the lids, and to warm up and soften up the ring. There is a rubberized material that will soften slightly so that it ensures a greater adhesion to the jar. So while the jam is boiling away, I am going to start sterilizing those jars. Okay, I thought I'd show you the cold spoon method of checking your doneness of your jam, of the long cooked jam. What you do is you stick a regular spoon into ice water and make the spoon cold. Wipe it off, dip it in a little bit of the jam, and stick it back in the water without getting any water in the jam, and to cool it all down. And then you can see it's mounding and it's slowly coming off, and that's exactly what you want. That's what you want with a long cook jelly. And it still kind of mounds, it wrinkles. So that means that when it cools down, it should have a fairly good texture to it. So that is the cold spoon method if you don't have a candy thermometer. Okay, my jam is all ready to go. Now I have sterilized my jars with 10 minutes of boiling. I have this jar grabber because everything is super hot. My canning funnel, stainless steel canning funnel. All right, and now we're going to put in the product. Still, everything is hot. The jars are hot, the jam is hot. We have a little bit more. The head space, they call it, is the space between the product and the top of the jar. And the head space is 1/4 of an inch. All right, I'll heat up a paper towel with the hot water from the boiling, and I wipe off the top of the jar. Make sure that there's no jam on it. Then I take my magnetic wand and pick up the lid and put on the ring. Now, this just requires a finger tight. Finger tight means you just use a few fingers and you just tighten it to the point where it starts resisting. And we will put it, and I am recording right now. Okay, and then we put it back in the pot, and so that it keeps and maintains its temperature. All right, ooh, we got some wonderful chunks, and like I said, it smells so good. There we go, and we wipe off the lid. And we take the wand, the magnetic wand, and we put on the ring and we tighten it just to the point where you get resistance, and then we put it back in the jar, or back in the pot, so that it can maintain its heat. Ooh, that is hot. And put on the lid. All right, now when I'm done filling these, I will put the pot back on the stove, and I will put more hot water on it until the water covers the jar an inch above the top of the jar. And that ensures that when the water is boiling, it's rotating and agitating around all top, bottom, and sides. And that ensures that you get a good heat distribution. Get a clean spoon here, and might have to get a little bit out. That chunk ended up being bigger than I wanted it. There we go. That's better. Make sure that there's no food or anything on the lid, or on the top of the jar, I mean. All right, this looks like I just have a little bit left. That's not going to be enough to do a pint, or a half pint. So I always have a 4-ounce jar. And it might be a little too much for my 4-ounce jar, but that is perfectly fine. Now the 4-ounce jar is usually what I keep for me. Oh my, look at that. Okay, I've got a little bit extra, but that'll be And I'm going to process this. And okay, now I've just got this little bit left over. And I won't process it. I will just keep it for me to enjoy tomorrow. And I'm going to stick it in the refrigerator. As you can see, look at this, wonderful. Spicy, flavorful jam. Oh, do you see that? Oh my goodness, it is just so good. Oh, look at that. Fresh ginger in there. That is so good. Look at that. Beautiful. Pears are see-through. They're soft and tender. So good. All right, now, like I said, I'm going to put this back on the stove. I'm going to make sure that the top of my jars have at least an inch of hot water over them. I'm going to put them on boil. I'm going to put it on high. And once it starts a rolling boil, this one requires a 10-minute processing time. So once the boiling water is really boiling, I set my timer for 10 minutes and it'll boil that whole 10 minutes. And then I will, gotta remember that you gotta cover your pot while you're boiling. It makes the temperature not fluctuate as much. And so anyways, when you do the 10 minutes of boiling, take out the lid and time it for 5 minutes. Turn off the heat, take off the lid, time it for 5 minutes, and then you'll just pull it out and put it on top of a towel with no draft. You don't want any draft in the room because you want it to cool down slowly and naturally. And I will show you the final product. Okay, we are ready to take out our jars. Oh, did you hear that? It popped. That little ping means that it's sealed. Oh, there's another one. There we go. Oh, come on, ping. I like video recording the ping. That one's not. You can see this one has sealed. It pinged. This one's still bulging. And hopefully that will. Whoop, there goes the other one. This one just went. So it looks like this one, and this one have went. Got that one and that one yet. All right, so that is how you do a water bath canning of a jam, a high acid jam. All right, now it's time to test it. And I have a very specific way I put my jam on my bread. Got some wonderful, real salted butter. And I never stick my knife in the jam, I always get a clean spoon and I spoon it on my toast. There you go. And then I spread it with my knife. Oh my, look at this. Do you see that? So good. I love salted butter. The saltiness of the butter and the sweetness of the jam. So good. I love fresh ginger. The cinnamon and the nutmeg. So good. Thanks for coming along and watching me make some ginger pear jam.